30 years before I was born, my grandpa was in the Army. I know he fought in Korea, I know he fought in World War II, I know he went to Stanford to get an engineering degree that he never seemed to use, but he didn't really want to talk about his past at all.
Serious.
Every once in a while he would talk about the war. He never really talked about what he did. He talked about more kind of experiences that he had.
My grandma passed 20 years ago and he never left the house except to walk with me in the woods. He was never forward with talking about the Army, so I never really asked questions.
After he passed, we found a bunch of pamphlets. My aunt has them now, but they were all intelligence books. And I had never actually realized that he was basically an intelligence officer, you know, in the military at that point. And the books had some crazy shit in them. I mean, like, this is how you set up this device to be able to spy on whoever or collect data.
In the back of his house, we found things like, I don't know, just books all over the place, and in file cabinets we found, I don't know, old newspaper clippings and just articles that he had kept. But then I was going through his old war papers and I found this.
Cameron came to me and said, I think these are coordinates. Wasn't quite sure what to make of it at that point. I saw the coordinates on the paper. It didn't look like coordinates to me, just like a bunch of numbers scrawled out across the sheet.
There's one other thing on here. Dearborn. I have no idea what that means.
Could be the city of Michigan.
Maybe. But that city is not on the list.
What list?
Cameron brought the document home and didn't even tell me about it for like 3 weeks. I found him up really late one night, freaked out on Google Maps, and asked him what was going on.
The first 5 lines here are meaningless to me. There's a coordinate in Canada, there's one in South Dakota, Florida, there's one 45 minutes south here, which is cool, but then the next line is Omaha, Nebraska. But if you plug the 6th line into Google Maps, it lands just outside Groom Lake, Nevada. That's Area 51.
Yeah, it's super fucking weird. I asked him if it had to do with anything else that we found at our grandfather's house after he passed away, but he really wasn't sure.
So I kept going. I mean, line 14, that's Machu Picchu. Line 15 is a place called Shipwreck Rock, which I'm fairly certain is part of the Sedona vortexes. Line 19 is Boothbay Harbor, Maine, and we found out there's a haunted theater there that's linked to a secret society called the Knights of Pythias. Line 28 is the Serpent Mountain, Ohio, and line 30, I kid you not, it's Amityville. What you're left with is 6 sites in North America and some in South America that have known mythology associated with them, and then 28 sites that I have no idea what they mean. Yet.
This is the type of thing Cameron does. He tries to find the unexplained. He wants to know what's out there that nobody's seen, basically.
I mean, we're not gonna find nothing. We're going halfway around the world in an RV.
Well, I know, but that's what scares me. I mean, what if we find something that you don't like? What if we find something I don't like? What if we find something that you start to jump to your conclusions on, get carried away with that shit?
I don't do that.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
You do. You don't feel like you're special? You don't feel like this is what we're doing this for, is the things that you see in the past?
Cameron's had night terrors since he was a little kid. You wake up and you can't move, you can't speak, but there's these things in the room with you and they're looking at you. Sometimes they try to touch you.
There really wasn't anything special about our childhood. Cameron seemed to think differently, said he saw things, heard things, experienced things. I lived with our dad, he lived with our mom. Maybe he saw things, I don't know. I'll say this, if he can convince me, he can convince anyone.
All right, boss. Start her up. I have to figure out what that paper means. I mean, I've had a lot of weird stuff happen to me in my life. Maybe my grandpa and I are connected in ways I never even imagined.
Or maybe I'm nuts. I mean, maybe my grandpa didn't even realize he kept this paper, but it's a way for me to know the things he knew, or to get an insight into who he was.
I mean, he sleeps with his grandfather's dog tags on around his neck every single night. Clearly this man meant the world to him, and I want to go on this journey with him.
I'm a military veteran. If he really wants to go cross country, out into the field, looking for patterns, gathering intelligence, he needs me.
Is it ley lines? Are these all places where things have been covered up? There's a site in Oklahoma that may be tied to something called the Spooksville Triangle. There's a site in Wyoming that I think ties into magnetic anomalies. The site south of here in Washington, I found out, is actually home to a ton of Bigfoot sightings. So let's start there. I mean, I want to know the things my grandpa knew. I want to see the things that he saw. I want to know why these numbers are on this paper, and I want to know what Dearborn means. I want to know the truth.